All right, here's a good question. It says to sketch the graph of the following function, describing how the graph can be obtained from the basic exponential function. Okay, so the basic exponential function, y is equal to 2 to the x, or I guess you could say f of x is equal to 2 to the x, either of those. The basic function is going to have this kind of shape to it. Okay, this one has some transformations to that we'll look at in a second. But when you're plotting that on a graph, especially using the tool that they give you, what you need to do is come up with some points, and often it's 2 points that you can use to help graph it. So, for example, if I went like this, if it looked like that, or if it looked like this, they're very close, but if they're out just a little bit, then the graphing tool says, bzz, can't do it. So we'll go through how to graph that in a second. First, let's take a look at the function and just see how it's different. A basic function is like this one, but let me write out an exponential function in terms of the A, B, C, D stuff. So I'd have an a out front, and then some kind of base. In this case, it's 2. And then up here, I'd have bx minus c. And then out here, I'll have a plus d. So I need to identify what all of these things are. Probably the easiest one to identify is that one. That's a d value. So I know this graph would go up by 1. So let me just keep tally of that. So the graph has to go up by 1. But now this stuff here doesn't sort of look like that. I need to make it look exactly like that. So let me rearrange it. So I have f of x is equal to 2 to the 1 minus x plus 1. So I'm going to rearrange this so that negative x I'll put out front, and then this is a positive 1, so it'll be plus 1. Plus 1. Okay. Now, sometimes we write the function like this that we had there. Sometimes I've written the function like this, a to the a times 2 to the b, and then x minus c over b plus d. And if I have a b value, it's proper to write it this way. Then you don't make mistakes on any movement to the left or to the right, or any horizontal stretch, squish, flip stuff. And that's what we have here. So I do have a minus value up front there. So I should factor out the minus 1, and that'll leave me with an x minus 1 plus 1. Now I've tried this before on the graph. You'll have to just maybe try it a couple times. I think that when you graph this, or some of their answers, they might be incorrect, because this thing here tells me that the graph also goes right by 1. So this plus 1, it's a d value, that's up 1. This one here, it's a minus 1, so that tells me it goes right by 1. And then this minus 1 here tells me that it reflects on the y-axis. Y-axis? Yep, y-axis. Okay, so let me just try and put all those together. Let's do that in blue. So the normal graph is like the one that I have in red. This one needs to change over the x. Let's see, let's do this one first. Go right by 1. So right by 1 might sort of look like this. And then it has to flip over the y-axis. So it has to go like something like that, because there's the y-axis. And then it also has to go up by 1. Let's do that one in green. So it's going to be, I don't know, something like that in the end. I guess I could fire up decimals to see what exactly it looks like. Anyway, if they're asking for the transformations, describe how it can be obtained, I would say move right 1, reflect on the y-axis, and go up 1. this is the one that I think in my my labs, I think that they make a mistake on that one. But let's see, maybe I'm wrong. Let's check on decimals. Okay. Okay, here's some decimals. So it looks like I have stuff from before on there. Let me get rid of all that stuff. Okay, so I want the graph to begin with. Let's graph y equals 2 to the x. There's a beautiful looking exponential function. And let's just do each one of those things. Let's do x minus 1. So y is equal to 2 to the, and let's go x minus 1. Uh-oh, it didn't go up in the exponent. I think maybe you have to put brackets in there. So let's go x minus 1. Okay, and notice the blue one, it moved it to the right, right? Let's try one where we have it written like theirs. So minus x plus 1. Y is equal to 2 to the, in brackets, minus x plus 1. Minus x plus 1. Okay. Now, it's flipped it over, but I can't see that it is moved left or right. But let me back this off. Oh. Right to there. There we go. So there, it's just flipping. But notice if I put a plus 1 there, bracket, the graph moves to the right. And I think maybe in my math lab they might say it moves left, but it moves right, like I was saying earlier. Okay, so it's moved to the right, and then I want to do a plus 1 at the end. So go down and then plus 1. So it takes the whole graph and moves it up 1. All right, so what we need to do in my labs is when we make one, we need to identify some points. So like on the purple graph, that's the one I'm looking at. So I'd like to identify that point maybe, and some other point that might be on that graph. I don't know, maybe there's a point over in here somewhere. But let's find some of those out. Okay. So what I can do is I can set up an xy value, and I know my graph is y is equal to 2 to the minus x plus 1 plus 1. And I'll just plug some numbers in for x. So let's plug a number in 0. That would be x of 0. So that would be that point there. So let's plug a 0 in, minus 0 plus 1 plus 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1, so 2 to the first is 2, and 2 plus 1 is 3. So when x is 0, y is 3. And that's that point right there. Okay, now let's try pick another value for x. Say, I don't know. Let's try 1. 1 might be a good one. So y is equal to 2 to the minus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So minus 1 plus 1 is 0, so it would be 2 to the 0 plus 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So when x is 1, y is 2. So 1, 2, that's that point right there. So when we graph it in my labs, we might have to use those 2 points. I'm going to pause here, and then I'm going to fire up another window to record the other part. Is graph in my labs, and I'm wanting to graph the function that's there shown to the left, 2 to the 1 minus x plus 2. Okay, so I need to get a I need to get a exponential graph. So I clicked on the button on the right there, and then I just tapped anywhere on the screen. And now it's asking me what are all these transformations that are happening. So it looks like there's a vertical shift. That's the up-down thing of 2. So I'm going to move that over to 2. Good. And then also it reflects on the y-axis. We saw that. So I hit that one. Yeah, looking good. What else does it need to do? And then it was shift to the right 1. I think that's what we said. So we have a horizontal shift to the right 1. So I'm going to go like that. Okay, now everything looks good there. But I'm a little bit worried about that horizontal shift. When we did it in decimals, it was showed that it was right. But let's see if I get the right answer here. Oh no, check answer, let's see. Check answer. Oh, that's incorrect. To graph the function, plot enough points to determine how... Okay, let's try it again. So let's enlarge the graph again. Here it is. Oh, it may be that I had 2 graphs on there. That's probably why. Let's clear things. Clear. Yeah, good. Okay, so I click on exponential graph, and I tap anywhere on the screen, and then horizontal, oh, let's see, vertical shift, it goes up 2, yep. It reflects across the y-axis, yep. And then we want to horizontally shift it 1 to the right, like that. Okay, I think that's good. Let's try that. Oh, it liked that. Good. So hopefully that helps you in determining how you can use the graphing tool to show the exponential functions.